Move to the music, play like fucking music. Move it to the music, yeah. Move to my music, play like fucking music.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this special reaction episode of
Excuse
Big
me.
Bang Wrestling. Tonight, we're going to be having our reactions to Ring of Honor's big pay-per-view of the year, Final Battle. I am your host, Marcus Dunaway.
And I'm Nick.
And this is my first time really watching a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I thought it was a pretty good show.
Yeah, it's their biggest show of the year, and it was a pretty solid show. Not a lot of crazy stuff, so that was good. Nothing ridiculous except for
except for
little thing.
Danhausen.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But
overall, it was a good show. It's a solid show.
yeah, especially for no crowd. Usually like the shows that have no crowds kind of throw me off a little bit. But this one wasn't exactly horrible at all.
No, this one I think really worked well because of the presentation. Everything they did on it made it look, it kind of brought everything up a little bit, made everything look legit,
One thing they did different than a lot of like the WWE pay-per-views that I'm accustomed to. One thing that Ring of Honor did different was there wasn't a whole lot of talking segments in between.
No.
It was like match, little intermission matches, and the matches actually got time.
When they did talk, it was quick.
Yeah. Like the matches got the time. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. We'll actually break it down by the matches we thought stood out. And we'll speak on those. But let's start with the stuff that happened earlier this week, let's start with Saturday. It's the Super J Cup, right? Super J tournament.
Yeah, that was last Saturday. Was the Super J Cup.
Yeah,
New Japan of them.
That was one of my first times watching a New Japan show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was extremely impressed with the show.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of good matchups on that one, and that show actually had a lot of Ring of Honor guys on it too.
Yeah. Eventually we saw El Phantasmo. He went all the way to the finals and won, beating ACH there in the end, and an outstanding match. I thought it was a really good match for a free show. Yeah,
no, it was. It was a good match for the for the finals of that little tournament.
And me, never really hearing or seeing anything of this guy Phantasmo, watching him for the first time, he's pretty good in the ring.
Oh yeah, and he he's a British wrestler, and he still carries that British style with him. A lot of like Zack Sabre, not quite like Zack Sabre Jr., but he has that attitude.
Yeah. So that was a great show. This past Saturday night. Well, I guess last Saturday actually.
And, another little bit of news that came out of that is that Hiromu Takahashi, when he won the Best of the Super Junior tournament, he challenged the winner of the Super J Cup to a match at Wrestle Kingdom, and whoever wins that will challenge the Junior Heavyweight Champion.
And who's the Junior Heavyweight Champion again?
That is Taiji Ishimori, who is also a Bullet Club member.
Okay, well, this match at Wrestle Kingdom, I'm actually becoming more persuaded, I guess, to watch Wrestle Kingdom now after seeing some of these matches and some of these guys wrestle. So I got the feeling that Takahashi and El Phantasmo is going to be a great match.
It should be a good one.
Yeah. I think them guys going to go out there and they're going to tear the house down with their match.
And and there's a lot of good matches already set up for, Wrestle Kingdom. We got Okada versus Ospreay. That's going to be a big one.
Oh, yeah.
The Gorillas of Destiny are going to face the Dangerous Techers for the tag team titles. Naito is going to be defending the heavyweight title and the Intercontinental title. So Kota Ibushi and Jay White are both set to challenge for that title across, both days.
So that's going to be a busy 2 days at Wrestle Kingdom. What is that, January?
That is the 4th and the 5th.
Yep. So that's going to be a big 2-day event. So, like, let's talk about what happened on WWE programming this week, right? Raw, nothing major happened. It was just kind of another Raw.
Yeah, it's
The only
just
good
another
segment was,
episode.
I thought, was The Fiend and Randy Orton. You know, they
Right.
did their segment, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, because what, they're having some kind of Inferno match or something like
Yeah.
that.
From the way it sounds, it appears that WWE is going to bring back the Inferno match at TLC. So that's going to be a really good match, I believe. Hopefully.
I don't,
Vince
I don't know.
doesn't
It
if Vince
worries
doesn't
me.
have his hand in it, it's going to be okay.
It worries me because it involves Wyatt, and they love fucking with him.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's
And
just,
we all know what happened the last time Wyatt and Orton had a match. That was god awful.
yeah, it really was. It really
And it
was.
wasn't their fault. That was not their fault at all.
Because they won't let them have any type of creative control with their matches, but they say Vince is letting them have a little bit more of creative control now. That's what they say.
I don't see it.
You know, but one interesting development that happened was Asuka's partner for TLC, Lana, got hurt.
Yeah.
She beat Nia Jax in a match with a roll up, and then I think they busted her ankle up.
Yeah, imagine that. She got hurt after a match with Nia Jax.
I think it's just storyline though, but either way.
Oh, I know, but still, it's
Yeah, it definitely plays into the thing of Nia Jax actually injuring people.
yeah, it fits.
So that leaves a question that who's going to be Asuka's partner?
Well, have they haven't decided a partner for her yet, have they?
No, there's going to be a surprise come Sunday night.
And she's what? She's on Raw.
Yeah. They're talking about a returning female wrestler going to be her partner. You know, I've been hearing Eva Marie. I've been hearing Charlotte. They threw around Ember Moon's name. So there really ain't no telling who it might be.
Well, I mean, but who else is on Raw that she could team with?
I don't know, unless they bring Kairi Sane back for a one-off.
Well, didn't she leave?
She's working with WWE in Japan.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, she went home.
But I'm just saying, like, it could be a thing where they might let her compete in a one-off match. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You know, and another question is too, The Miz.
Right.
You know, do we see this as a good opportunity for him to cash in his Money in the Bank after this brutal TLC match between Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles? You know,
No, that could be.
The TLC stipulation is what kind of makes it a little different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way, like we said at the last pay-per-view at Survivor Series, it would have been a great opportunity for Miz to cash in, and he didn't.
Yeah, it could have been a good time, but I mean, it's hard to tell because they always, with these cash-ins, they always try to go for, you know, some kind of shock moment, you know, so we'll see.
Then this past Monday night on Raw, after, you know, they was beating Drew down with the ladders and chairs and tables.
Yeah. Yeah,
that would have been a good moment. So,
and that's true because they did the big, you know, the big fight, the big beat down, and
yeah. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if he's going to cash in this Sunday or not.
Yeah, it is.
I'm hoping sooner rather than later he does, just because I want to see Miz with the belt.
Right. I mean, and he had the belt, what, 10 years ago when he had that little feud with Cena, you know, around WrestleMania and all that.
Yeah, and he beat Cena.
Yeah.
With the help of The Rock, but...
Yeah, still, he won.
Yeah, then we go to Impact Wrestling. Impact, this is my first time watching Impact in a few years, and it's a big difference in the show from the last time I watched it. The way it's presented and the way it's ran is a lot different than the last time I watched it. There was a lot of good matches on there too, and you know, probably the most impressive one I saw on there was Carl Anderson versus Chris Sabin.
Yeah, from the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been around for a while. You know, they're those guys have been in TNA damn near since the beginning. You know.
Yeah, I know they've been around for a while, and they've put on a
match. I mean, they've always been a good team. And guys like Gallows and Anderson work really well with a team like the Machine Guns. So that's been a nice thing to see, and that they got that 6-man tag coming up, also.
Yeah, and hard to kill between Kenny Omega, Gallows, and Anderson versus Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yep.
One other thing I want to hit on with Impact is this thing between Moose and Willie Mack.
Right.
I don't know who Willie Mack is.
Well,
but
Willie Mack, I actually first saw him on Lucha Underground like 5 years ago, and he's been in the NWA. He's just a big, brawler guy, pretty much,
I tell you, that guy Moose, that's a big dude.
Yeah.
I like him already just from the look and the way he presents himself.
And I be honest, I haven't really watched a lot of Moose. I haven't really seen a lot of his stuff. The little bit I have seen is just kind of your normal big guy stuff, but
yeah. So I'm looking forward to actually watching Genesis for that I Quit match. Then we'll go to AEW. Again, not a lot happened. I really can't think of anything that really stood out. Except for that god awful main event for the title between Kenny Omega and Joey Janela. Like that match, it was hard for me to watch. Like it was nothing at all. At first, when I started watching, it had my interest because I like Kenny Omega. And it's for a world title, so I'm thinking it's going to be a good match.
Oh shit!
2 minutes into the match, I lost total interest in it. I lost complete interest.
Know how I feel. And now you know how I feel watching any Kenny Omega match.
Yeah, it's just it was a horrible match, and it should have been better.
First of all, you got to look who's involved.
Yeah, Joey Janela's really not that good.
No, he's not at all.
But they did announce a match for this for one of their next shows. I believe it was the New Year special. Kenny Omega will be defending his AEW title against Rey Fenix.
Right at their first day of their New Year's show.
And I'm hoping that's going to be a match that lives up to the hype. Because right now the hype is set pretty high for that match. But one other thing from that show is Cody Rhodes announced that him and Brandy are having a baby now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Congratulations to those two. It seems like everybody getting pregnant now and having babies. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch had their baby. Jon Moxley and Renee announced that they're having a kid.
Well, I can't imagine why. We've, been locked down for almost a year now.
Yeah, right. You'd think it would have been born by now.
We're going to get more. More are coming.
Oh, yeah. But other than that, nothing really stood out from AEW. NXT wasn't a bad show.
Well, one thing I want to mention about NXT coming up is that New Year's Eve show and that Kyle O'Reilly Finn Balor rematch, because that's going to be good.
Dude, like I saw the highlights from their last match at the TakeOver, and God, them guys just throwing everything they had at him.
Well, Balor got his jaw broken in that match too.
Yeah. And Kyle O'Reilly, he had a few ribs busted up in that match.
Yeah, and the rumor is that they called that match early. It was actually supposed to go longer, but Balor ended it early.
Shit. Yeah.
So that's going to be
O'Reilly wasn't one of them guys that I perceived as standing out of the Undisputed Era when I first started watching them. It was always like, Adam Cole was the front man. The tag team specialists were O'Reilly and Fish, and then Roderick Strong was going for the mid-card title.
Yeah.
Now Kyle O'Reilly is really coming out of on his own as a main eventer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With some of the things, the way everything's gone with COVID and everything, that's actually allowed a lot of guys to kind of move up and go into spots that they weren't in before. So,
yeah, definitely.
Kyle's done well with it. He's put on some really good matches. The match was done. That was a really good ladder match. It was different than the normal ladder matches you see now.
Oh, yeah.
The NXT title match with Balor was awesome. Like, that was just flat out an awesome match.
And they said that Dexter Lumis is going to be the host of New Year's Evil. The man don't even talk.
Right. Yeah, yeah. He just stands there and looks goofy half the time.
You know, so I don't understand. I don't understand what the point of having hosts are, but
Yeah,
that's one
yeah.
of their things.
Yeah, they're bringing NXT has to use old WCW pay per view names, and they have to have a host for it.
I guess. But then, I said nothing else really stood out for me on NXT other than that. Nothing really at all.
No, everything was just kind of business as usual.
You know, then SmackDown again, same thing really. You know, Bianca Belair and Bayley put on a decent match, but
Well, and then you had what was it? The tag team titles.
yeah, the Street Profits they retained over the Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, unfortunately. But I think it's overdue for Ziggler and Roode to win the tag titles.
Yeah, I kind of figured they would have won that by now.
I think it's long overdue. You know, then we just saw the continued beating of Kevin Owens by Roman Reigns and Jey Uso.
Yeah, that's the same thing as last week, and
the week before.
Yeah,
and the week before.
beating the same people up.
I said nothing really stood out. It was kind of a dull week until tonight. Also running at the same time as SmackDown again was Ring of Honor's biggest pay-per-view Final Battle.
Yeah, that was started at 8 and ran till midnight. So
yeah, actually it did go to midnight. What matches stood out to you from Ring of Honor? Let's talk about Ring of Honor for a minute.
Well, that tag team title match, that was a good match. Mark Briscoe and PCO against Lethal and Gresham, Foundation.
Yeah, dude. For PCO being as old as he is, man, still got it.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's crazy. He's just
like
I said earlier, he's wrestling's Frankenstein monster because just everything he does, you think he's gonna be destroyed, but he just gets right back up and keeps going.
Like after that one spot where he tried to do that, it wasn't a senton, a rolling senton.
Yeah, from the top rope to the apron, and he almost never lands that move, but he does it all the time. Yeah.
I said that looked like it was a hard spot.
Well, because he hit directly on his spine on the corner of the ring, just like it was nothing.
Jeez, and I was a little disappointed. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying, and he's a 300-pound man, so that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that match that Jay Briscoe had.
Him and Shane Taylor.
Shane Taylor. It wasn't a bad match at all.
I mean, that was just a fight. That was,
Yeah, I'll tell you one match. These are two guys I never really heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But it was probably what I would consider one of the better matches of the night, and that was Ray Horace and Dalton Castle. Yeah,
and Dalton Castle is a former Ring of Honor world champion, and Ray Horace has been up here with Ring of Honor for a little while, and they put on, and that match was came together at the last minute because Ray Horace and his tag team, the Mexa Squad, was supposed to defend the 6-man tag teams, but Bandito and Flamita couldn't make the show, because of COVID, just like EC3 and
that was a disappointment.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be EC3 and Jay Briscoe, but we did get a suitable replacement for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that match, the Jay Briscoe and EC3, that was the main reason I wanted to buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, then when I heard about that, I almost debated on not buying it. I was like, nah, I'm gonna buy it. It's still gonna be a good show. I'm gonna check it out, and I was impressed with it. I'm pleased that I bought it.
But no, like you were saying, Ray Horace and Dalton Castle, that was a good last-minute match. They had a pretty good match there. It was a nice back and forth. Yeah,
definitely. I thought the finish was pretty neat. It was like I guess kind of like a roll-up, or I don't know what you would call that. It wasn't a power bomb, but
it's like a sunset flip from the top.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty good spot.
When that pure title match, Jonathan Gresham and Flip Gordon, that was a pretty good match. That was, they had a really good technical back and forth, wrestling match on that one, and that was like 25 minutes. I think they ended up going.
Yeah, it went for a while, and I was kind of pulling for Flip Gordon on that one.
Right.
That octopus mask that Gresham has is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Gresham had a great night.
Oh yeah, they said he
Defended
was
both
the
his
first
belts.
man in Final Battle history to defend 2 titles and
Yep,
defend them successfully
yep.
in the same night. So that's an accomplishment there. So he had a good night. What about between Brian Johnson and Dan Housen?
Brian Johnson was good.
He kept
At
the
least
match
he was
going,
trying.
and like,
He tried to pull it together.
Dan Housen, he's gonna be a guy. It's gonna probably take a little while for him to really
Well,
come as his own. You know what I'm saying? To really like kind of get it together, I guess you could say.
it doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't understand what he's supposed to be, what the gimmick is, any of that. Only thing I saw was some guy in face paint saying Danhausen and just doing moves everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
The finish to that match, I almost had like I'm not gonna say quite like a Eddie Guerrero. That's what they tried to pull off, I feel like, but it didn't quite have the same effect. But it was kind of comedic, though, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, but it just, I don't get it. That's all I can say. I don't understand it.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes in the coming weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
And that world title match between Brody King and Roosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, again, I'd never really seen neither of them two wrestle before either. And for 2 big guys, that's pretty impressive match.
Yeah. Brody King, he's always been a pretty good big man. He's always been, and even though, he has speed and he does all that, he still works like a big guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's still just there to beat you up, and that's it. And Roosh, he's from Mexico. He was, he wrestled in CMLL for a while, and his brother Dragon Lee also defended the TV title tonight. Also,
that was Dragon Lee that came out at the end as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to familiarize myself with the Ring of Honor guys. So
yeah, that was the group after the match. That was their faction.
The Facción Los Ingobernables. I'm still working on trying to say that right.
Well, you're putting the 2 different groups together, but yeah, you're on the right track.
How was I putting the 2 different groups together?
Well, because there's Los Ingobernables, which was the original. Then there's Los Ingobernables de Japón, which is Naito's group in New Japan, which came from the original group. This version now in Ring of Honor is La Facción Ingobernable.
Oh, I put the day in front of it. That's what
Okay.
But so I guess that's on set up now for Roosh versus.
Well, I guess, it would have to be what, I guess Jay Lethal or somebody like that, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Who I would see it being.
Well, either way, it's still going to be a good match.
Yeah.
I think that kind of. Is there anything else you want to hit on from that pay-per-view?
That's pretty much it. We pretty much hit on the high points and all that. So.
All right. Well, let's go to like the out of the ring stuff. Right. There's a lot been going on outside of the ring like this week. We even put out a special episode on YouTube about some of the comments made recently by JR and how the AEW wrestlers are responding to it, not taking too kindly to it. You had Brandon Cutler, he spoke out on it.
And somebody else who didn't want to be named had made the comment that, if JR would have said this to us, we would listen. But since he didn't say it to us, he said it on his podcast. We're not going to listen to what he says. But knowing JR, he's been saying something about it to him this whole time. The only reason he's brought it up on the podcast because they don't listen to shit.
Yes, I can't see where JR would just not say anything to them and then go ahead and blast them on the podcast,
because he's probably been saying it for a while.
Yeah. But it has been reported that like some of the wrestlers in the back have gotten chewed out for similar spots like that.
Yeah.
But it didn't name like the exact time or what spot or match or whatever, but it's saying they have gotten chewed out for that. But however, some wrestlers have been defending JR. Like
Right.
Harwood from FTR.
Yeah.
He sent out that tweet and his tweet in response to what everybody was saying. And he's basically saying, just because he hurts your feelings doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to him. He's still a veteran of the business and has been for the past, 30 some years?
Oh shoot, no, he's been in the business since like 73, And
he's been around for a long time, even though he hasn't been a wrestler, he was the head of talent relations at one point for WWE.
Yeah, I mean, he's worked for like just pretty much every major wrestling company of the last 40 years. He's worked for them. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to this stuff,
So even Darby Allin, he was asked about it this week, and this is kind of ironic, but he says he agrees with JR.
Yeah.
But he does a lot of dives and things like that too, but it makes sense for him to do it.
Well, and here's the thing though, when Darby Allin dives, there's not a giant group of people just standing there waiting for him to dive.
Yeah.
When Darby Allin dives, he's literally just throwing himself at somebody trying to take them out because he doesn't care if he gets hurt, trying to take them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he does a dive, you don't see it coming. He just launches himself at somebody, and that's it.
It's going to be interesting to see how, I guess, this kind of shapes up. This week, you didn't really notice too much, like, coming off of that. I think they still had a few dives in that big 7-on-7 tag match, though.
They're going to keep doing it when I'm just interested to see, how much they do it.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. It's like, it doesn't matter if you do it once in a while, but how often they do it.
Well, and that's the thing. You don't need to do it every show and damn near every match, because they do it damn near every match.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that it gets old, I guess you could say. Like, you don't get that same big pop after you've been doing it so many times.
Well, it's like I said to you during that that tag team match earlier tonight, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett against I forget the name of the, I'm sorry, but against Vinny and what was it, Bateman?
Bateman, yeah, Vincent and Bateman.
Yeah. And you notice, like I said, in that match, they had like 3 or 4 finishes before the actual finish of the match.
Yeah, that was one thing I picked up on too.
And I was enjoying that match until that point. Then I just kind of like, oh, okay, well, there's that,
Yeah, but still, that was a pretty decent match. Though, like I said, just those false finishes here and there.
It was until that last few minutes where they just started doing every finish they could think of.
Like that diving spike pile driver. I thought that would have been the finish right there, and it wasn't.
But what I'm getting at, that falls in that same thing. All these dives all the time, all these false finishes all the time, and like JR talking about the move not being treated as finishers, they're just not letting anything sell and register.
Yeah, and that's another thing with like even Andrade's finisher, that DDT.
Mm-hmm.
He beats somebody with a DDT, but yet they do a DDT in every match.
Right.
So what makes that one more special than anybody else?
Well, and like they've
does he perform it better?
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing. They have absolutely buried the super kick.
Yeah. I think the only one that still wins matches off of it is Dolph Ziggler at this point.
I mean, it's literally become like the weakest move there is now.
Yeah. Yeah, like it used to be a big finisher, 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, it still was. Not even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, it was still a finish.
Now it's just another move.
Mm-hmm. It's a little ridiculous.
Just a little bit. So like I said, it's going to be, I'm waiting to see if anybody else is going to come out and defend JR or if anybody else is on like attacking for his comments, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. So it's actually, I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been as much come out, you know.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I was waiting to see if anybody else comes out and speaks out on it.
Excuse me.
You know,
Yeah.
and another thing that's been kind of been being talked about a lot this past week was Vince McMahon. He's decided to send Keith Lee and a lot of other big wrestlers, big guys, back to the Performance Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a
Yeah,
lot of people got in this uproar because they're like, why are they sending Keith Lee back? He was good at NXT, you know?
Well, at first it did look a little weird because
Yeah.
they didn't say why. They just said they were sending this group of guys back to the Performance Center.
Yeah.
But now that they've said what they're doing, it makes sense. And what it is, you know, it's Keith Lee. What was it? Dabba-Kato.
Yeah, they're sending
Otis,
Keith Lee, Dabba-Kato.
yeah, Otis, that Omos guy,
Yep.
AJ's new bodyguard, and
Mace.
what it was, yeah, and Mace. And what it was is that they want these guys to work like big guys.
Yeah.
And because Keith Lee is good, and I like Keith Lee, and he's great, but he does a lot of things that a big guy probably shouldn't do. Even though he can do it, he shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, it's not something he should be doing regularly. Like, there's some moves for a big guy to do. It doesn't hurt to do them once in a while. But for the most part, you have to wrestle as a big guy and sell that size.
And you know, and somebody made the analogy of Keith Lee to Bam Bam Bigelow, if you remember him.
Yeah, I remember him.
You know, and Bam Bam Bigelow was another guy. He's like 6'6", almost 400 pounds, but he could do cartwheels and a moonsault. You know.
Yeah.
But in a match, he would only do that one move, and that was it. He wasn't, you know, diving out of the ring and doing front flips over the top rope. You know, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would do that one moonsault, and that was it. Or, you know, he might do a cartwheel at the beginning of a match, you know, something like that, you know, because he could do it, but that wasn't the whole match, you know.
Yeah. They said they're sending them down, I think, once or a couple days a week to get trained by, it's funny, Adam Pearce and Drew Gulak.
Yeah, of all people, right?
I mean, they're training them to wrestle as big guys. Why not send a big guy down there to train him with Adam Pearce?
Well, you know, like the Undertaker's not doing anything, you know.
Yeah, and they said that's going to be his new role soon.
You know, let him go down there. Or Kane, he's not doing anything.
Well, he's
let him
the
go
mayor
down there.
of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, they can wait a couple of days.
Knoxville can wait. That'd be all right.
Yeah, I mean, he's not actually wrestling. He's just telling them how to wrestle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to be looking for any type of differences in their matches here in the next several weeks, month, just to see if I can pick up anything different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially from like Otis.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Otis is one of them ones that he's not bad in the ring.
No,
but
he's not.
Gimmick.
It's just, his gimmick is just god awful.
Yeah. But he's not a bad wrestler in the ring. He was actually a collegiate wrestler, right?
Well, yeah, no, he's a legitimate athlete, and you know, he does have some talent. It's just his gimmick is just so terrible you don't care to see him.
Yeah. So like I said, you know, gimmick changes and you know, just differences in the in-ring work is what I'm gonna be looking at here in the next several weeks to a month, just to see if I can pick up any differences. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
You know, and we just announced several days ago that we had our first big guest locked on for the show for January 9th, 2021. You know, this guy has wrestled for WWE. He's wrestled all around the world since he was, 14?
Yeah.
He started wrestling?
Actually, he started when he was 13.
Started when he was 13 and has won multiple titles, multiple awards, and various promotions. Yeah.
It's pretty much every major promotion of the last 20 years he's been there.
Yeah, he competed in the Super J Cup just last weekend. He was the first cruiserweight champion in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Well, when WWE got rid of the cruiserweight title.
Well, he was the first cruiserweight champion after they brought it back, and he won the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah. So our big guest for this January 9th episode will be none other than TJP. He has agreed to come on and do the show with us. And Nick and myself are very excited to sit down and talk with him and kind of ask him some questions and get kind of the scoop on how his training was and how he felt leaving WWE and various other stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna get into how he ended up in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yep.
About his time where he actually came up in the New Japan LA dojo. So we're going to talk about that, and he came up with Bryan Danielson and Rocky Romero. We're in that group that he was in. We're going to talk about that and just all kind of other things. Throughout his career.
So I urge y'all to stay tuned and catch this January 9th episode where me and Nick will actually sit down and be able to talk with TJP here on Big Bang Wrestling.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Dude, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for it. Out of all the matches that happened this week,
yeah,
how we always pick our best match and worst match of the week, right? Mm-hmm. All right. I already said that Kenny Omega and Joey Janela match was probably the worst match I think I've ever seen. This week, I think that was the worst thing I've ever watched.
It was just a steaming pile,
That was Santino Marella level bad.
Hey. And what did I say to you last night? I said it was going to be it was Tuesday night. Didn't I tell you it was going to be the drizzling shits?
You did.
That was my exact words to you.
Might be able to save this, and nope. Didn't.
No, that was my exact words to you, that it was going to be the drizzling shits, and it was.
It was bad. It was really bad. However, the best match I think I saw this week was that it wasn't even a main event, actually. Of NXT.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It should have been.
Should have been, yeah. But that match between Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne for the number one contendership of the NXT title, that was pure wrestling. That's what I look for in a match. And those two tore the house down.
Yeah. Well, in both their styles, Kyle O'Reilly with his MMA-based style and Pete Dunne
with the strong style.
Well, Pete Dunne, he has that European, grappler style.
Yeah.
The guys like William Regal had, and he used it very well, and that made for a very good match of styles. And those guys, they're great anyway.
Yeah.
So they're just, that one all worked.
Yeah, that was a great match. And eventually, after a diving knee to the back of the neck, we saw Kyle O'Reilly get the win. And so now at New Year's Evil, just 3 weeks away, Kyle O'Reilly would be challenging Finn Balor once again for the NXT title.
Yeah, it's his second title shot in just a couple of months.
And I think that's going to be better than the first match.
it should be just as good. At least, at the very least, it'll be just as good.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
what do you think was the best and worst matches you saw this week?
Well, my worst match was the same as yours, Omega and Janela. We've already,
Not much difference on that one.
yeah, we already established that.
I think that's the first time we ever agreed on a match.
Yeah, I think so. And it's hilarious that it was Kenny Omega. So
Right? Of all people.
and I told you it was coming. But my favorite match this week was actually Jay Briscoe and Shane Taylor. That was my favorite match.
Great choice.
It was they work snug, and I like when guys do that because it makes it look real.
Yeah.
Shane Taylor landed some big shots in that match, but Jay Briscoe, he had his moments too. Like he got that. You got Shane Taylor in that Spicoli driver, and a lot of people can say what they want about the Briscoes, but they're tough guys and they can fight, and they're going to be there no matter what. Yeah, they're going to be there no matter what. You don't have to worry about them, not delivering.
Yeah.
And and Shane Taylor, he's pretty good for a guy his size too.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I tell you, that package pile driver.
Yeah, that was gnarly.
Dude, that looked kind of rough.
yeah, that looked a little too legit.
Right. So we picked our best and worst matches that we saw this week. I'm curious to hear y'all. So when we drop this video, podcast, by all means, comment on our page or comment on the video, below it, what you thought was the best and worst action y'all saw this week on any type of wrestling program. Next is our spots and botches of the week. There were several good spots this week, but the one it was actually tied between two almost. Like my top spot was like that sunset flip off the top rope.
Yeah.
That Ray Horace did in his match with Dalton Castle.
Yeah.
Guys, for some reason, that spot was it was really neat to me.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great, and it actually won him the match.
Well, he did it so quick and so smooth, it was out of nowhere.
Yeah, then the second spot was that match between Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
That suplex on the outside of the ring. Yeah. Then Kyle O'Reilly gets up and throws Pete Dunne back in the ring and hit that diving knee right on the back of his neck.
These two superstars know exactly what needs to be done.
O'Reilly had that one scouted all the way, pulled out.
O'Reilly to the top, knee to the back of the neck. O'Reilly all the way from the top rope into the cover, and O'Reilly has a date with destiny.
Yeah, right there at the end.
Yeah, it looked rough, and he beat him off of that.
Yeah. My pick was was PCO trying to kill himself again.
That man's going to end up killing himself one of these days.
Yeah, he keeps doing that senton off the top to the ring apron and almost never lands it. And he landed a little extra rough tonight because he hit, literally nothing but spine right on the edge of the ring.
Yeah, that was a rough landing. I saw that and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that one was a little rougher than normal, and they're usually pretty rough.
I remember growing up, watching Ric Flair, the last several months of his career. Mm-hmm. We was always joking and saying that Ric Flair was going to die in the ring. I think PCO is going to be the one to die in the ring.
Yeah, PCO might be Joey Janela almost died in a wrestling match once. So.
When was that?
Oh, that was a few years back. He had there was this deathmatch wrestler named John Zandig who had like a one-match comeback, and they did a Death Valley driver off of a roof into a truck bed full of light tubes.
What the? That's just crazy. Like
Zandig broke.
Or that's just freaking nuts.
Yeah, Zandig broke his back and could never wrestle again because of that, and Joey Janela almost lost a thumb.
Jeez.
Because a piece of glass went like right through his hand at his thumb.
One other thing I want to bring up, especially wrestlers that almost died. Chris Jericho just made a tweet this past week talking about in reference to his tag title defense, where him and Big Show actually lost the tag titles to DX. You know, that spot where Jericho, they knocked the ladder over and he landed on the outside of the ring.
Yeah, like he landed on his head.
Like, I almost died.
Yeah, like he like landed on his head.
Yeah, I know he had a rough landing, but shit.
Yeah. Well, he almost died in a match with Kenny Omega because they botched a one-wing angel. That was rough too.
What match was that?
That was, I think it was 2018. I think was when they had that match.
That sounds about right.
I think that's when it was. And it wasn't a bad match, but when they did that one spot, they botched it, and it was almost bad. That was almost a bad night.
Yeah, I could imagine. But like, I don't really recall seeing many botches this week.
No, not this week, but which is kind of odd because usually they're everywhere.
Yeah. But what about you? What in your opinion, what was your top spot of the week?
Well, that, like I said, that was my spot with PCO because I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I always like seeing him on a pay-per-view because when it comes to a pay-per-view, he always pulls out one spot or, and you got to admit for a guy well in his 50s and who's been wrestling since 1987, he put on a hell of a show.
Oh, dude, definitely. Like, you can't deny that.
I mean, you can, he can't move like he used to and he can't do a lot of stuff he does, but the gimmick he's portraying now, he can do a lot of things. Well, yeah, he doesn't have to do any of that stuff because he can do a lot of other things to make up for that, and it works.
Yeah, and finally we get to the last segment of our show, our classic match of the week picks. Mm-hmm. And Nick, I'm going to let you start again this week.
Well, because it's December and I like to go with the theme of the month. My pick is from WCW Starrcade 1997, which was their December pay-per-view in the WCW era. And that was like their WrestleMania. But this match, it is actually the opening match on the card. It is Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero for the Cruiserweight Championship. And it is hands down the best match on that card. Just there's no other match that comes close to that one for that show.
And like, what was it about that match that made it so great?
Well, because it's just Dean and Eddie, because those two guys are just so good. All you have to do is put them together and let them figure it out. And 9 times out of 10, you get something, really good.
So, like, was there a lot of grappling in that match, or was there like a lot of high flying, or was it a mix, or what was it? I've never seen the match. Yeah,
their matches, and even when they had faced each other in WCW, or excuse me, ECW, when they faced each other there, it was always a mix. They would start off doing mat wrestling, chain wrestling, then they would go into the quick spots, the high spots, and then they would do some high flying, then they would come back, go back to some technical wrestling. It was always, it was always a variety.
Right.
And it was just Dean and Eddie being Dean and Eddie, honestly.
So I actually started going back and like some of these matches that you're referring to, I actually go back and try to watch them now.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these matches I've been telling you all about are pretty wild, aren't they?
Oh, dude. Yeah. A lot of them are.
Yeah. And they're good matches though. It's not just,
for their time, they were good, but not everybody's going to appreciate those types of matches in today's time.
Yeah.
My pick of the week was it was actually the first WrestleMania I ever watched.
Mm-hmm.
It was the World Heavyweight Title match where Batista was defending against the Royal Rumble winner that year, Undertaker, in a Last Man Standing match.
And that was 2007 WrestleMania 23.
I think so. Mm-hmm. But like, even to this day, I still consider that one of the better matches I've ever watched. That's a match I will periodically go back and watch from time to time just because it was one of my favorite matches. And honestly, that was probably my best match for that pay-per-view.
And me personally, I think that is Batista's best match.
Why you say that?
Because everything he did in that match, if you go back and watch him, if you watch everything he does, like he never looks lost. He never looks like he's trying to figure out what he's supposed to be doing. He's right where he needs to be every time. And I can't really think of any other match where he looked where he really looked like he was just like he was in charge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like they had really good chemistry working with each other.
They did, and I mean, Undertaker was the one calling the match, and he was the one telling him what to do, but still Batista was right on time the whole match.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He never missed a beat. He was on. He was really on that night.
Yeah, you have Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight title at Starrcade.
Mm-hmm.
And what year was that again?
That was Starrcade 97.
97.
Yeah.
And I have Batista versus Undertaker, where we actually saw Undertaker win the world title.
Yep.
And I believe that was like not his last title reign, but the one right before his last.
It was one of his last title reigns. For sure.
I think it was like the one right before his last one.
It might have, as I say, it might have been his second to last, because I think in 2008 or 2009 was his last.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was when he had that feud with Edge. That was when he had his last title, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking Punk.
And I think that was actually the next year. So it was 2008, 2009, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, yeah. But, that was Batista and Undertaker, last man standing in WrestleMania 23.
It's a good one.
We'll be back next week, and we'll give our reactions to TLC coming on Sunday night, December 20th. Going on December 20th, be TLC, WWE giving their pay-per-view.
And a possible New Japan copyright lawsuit for fucking people in Impact using Bullet Club.
Right. So, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode. I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
And we are out.